All right, we are back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
Dude, what a wild week this was. This was a week to remember.
Especially today. We're gonna get right into it. This is for September the 22nd, 2023. The Fed, the Fed today, Fed Day. What happened? Unpack it. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Fed did exactly what I had predicted or hoped for, guessed, called for, whatever you want to call it. To remind people what I was hoping for is the Fed would pause, so no rate increase, but they would come out and be velociraptor, not hawkish, right? There's doves, there's hawks, and I'm like, he's got to come out and be velociraptor. And he was. He said so many things that is already impacting the market to show me that people are finally listening, higher for longer. So what happened? Where do I want to start, man? So first, there's this thing called the dot plot, and the dot plot is basically a summary of economic projections by the 19 members of the Fed. First came out as terminal rate, and the good news is the terminal rate basically for the rest of this year was there will either be zero or one more rate hike. 7 people said we're done. 12 people said we're going higher. That's actually the exact ratio I predicted earlier in the week. We're going to go 7-12. And again, why is that important? It's again because the Fed is trying to project this Paul Volcker-ish, we're going higher, we're going to break something mentality. Next, they talked about the Fed rates for the end of 2024. Going into the meeting, the market was expecting 4 rate cuts. The Fed doesn't like that. The Fed doesn't want the market thinking cuts are coming. So the Fed took their 2024 prediction down to 5.1, which means if there's one more rate increase, they will be one rate cut next year. Or as I project, no rate increases, no rate cuts. That's what I called before. Nothing in this Fed announcement has made me change my mind. We're not getting another increase, and we won't get a cut all next year. The Fed is trying to get the market to come along. And based on the reaction Wednesday afternoon and Thursday, the market's starting to understand higher for longer. Next, jobs. They lowered their expectation for unemployment, which is net positive, right? And oh, by the way, what happened Thursday morning? Woo, this was a barn burner. Thursday morning, we get the weekly unemployment report, and it's been trending down. And it just took a massive drop down. It went from 226 to 201. The Fed
Wow.
wants that number over 300. So the job market is strong. Then growth. They upped their growth forecast, right? So again, no recession, at least in their forecast. So to net this all out, higher for longer, economy is stronger, job market is strong. And then finally, during the Q&A, probably the most important question. And to be clear, I think Powell lied because he's telling a story. And the question was, Powell, do you expect a soft landing? And you could see him kind of his internal clock going. And he basically answered, a soft landing is possible, but it is not my base case. AKA, I'm going to keep raising rates into a recession and I'm going to break something. I think that one comment alone has been responsible for interest rates rising and ultimately mortgage rates rising because people are like, oh my God, he's serious. He's not messing around. So I think the Fed finally stood tall. And again, I think this is all theater. This is all talking tough because if they talk tough enough, they don't have to do anything. The Fed doesn't want to raise anymore. The national debt is too high. The bank balance sheets suck. The Fed raising rates more causes more pain. So they would much rather act like a bully and not get in a fight than act like a dove and get in a fight. That's kind of the analogy I'm playing with.
I get it. And I want to just, it's interesting because you've been talking about this. You've been spot on. I think when you talk about the dot plot, number one, that's like a board. It's a board of you had 7 that basically thought that we were pausing and that's it. And then the other 12 said, okay, we could see another rate hike. And that's basically a board, a unit of members of board members, correct?
19 people.
19 people. Okay. So then also, I just want to go to one other comment and I want to unpack it for the audience. When you're talking about dove, hawkish, or even I love actually Velociraptor, you're basically talking about the attitude of the Fed, specifically that if he were dovish, it would be like, well, I don't know, maybe we'll drop rates toward the end of the year, maybe kind of a soft position, versus if he's hawkish or like, again, the Velociraptor, it's like, no way in hell, we could go higher. We're not through the woods. You guys better beware. And that's
don't
really
test
what
me.
you're saying.
Exactly. Don't test me. I'm serious. And to be clear, this is about the chairman.
Yep.
And the chairman is Jerome Powell.
Got it.
And his message, now there are 19 members and I'm sure he could be swayed, but if you go back to some of the other Q&A sessions, I mean, he was asked last time, I think, or maybe it was the time before, about what does he see coming? And he's like, those guys think this, I think this. So Powell's his own voice. And I only care what Powell thinks. And he is trying to project Velociraptor, Paul Volcker, I'm not messing around. Don't test me. I'm killing the Fed put,
got it.
Get ready.
One other thing too that I want to just unpack, Volcker, when you talk about Paul Volcker, a lot of the audience knows who that is. I know who it is. He's the guy that took interest rates and during the 80s. Talk about that just really briefly so people understand the attitude of a Paul Volcker-like mentality.
Yeah, so in the 80s, there were basically two chairmen. There was Arthur Burns and then Paul Volcker. People often say he doesn't want to be Arthur Burns. What does that mean? That means he took rates up, inflation looked to be falling, so he cut rates into that, and then we had a double dip and nasty recession that ultimately made Arthur Burns go bye-bye, and Paul Volcker was brought in as the tough guy to say, no, we're going to get pricing stability. So it's often, hey, Powell doesn't want to be Arthur Burns. He would rather be Paul Volcker, which means he's going to keep this higher for longer. He is not going to risk cutting early. He'll cut late. He won't cut early.
Got it. And Paul Volcker was during the time when interest rates were from like 10 to 18%, basically.
Yeah, I think he took the Fed funds rate to over 18. Yeah, it was wild.
Wild. Okay. So there you go, folks. Higher for longer is the theme with the Fed. Let's continue. Let's talk about mortgage rates and something I kind of, last week we were talking about, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 weeks, the next month or, 4 to 6 weeks, we see rates start to soften and go below 7. Today, I'm listening to, yesterday, today, talking with you, listening to you. Now you're saying 8% rates. What the hell's going on there, Michael? 8% rates. Tell what's going on?
So I got a note Wednesday after the Fed meeting. I got a voice message from a broker that I use, and he goes, Michael, you sit down. You're not going to believe this. I just priced owner occupied, 750 credit score. So not great, but not horrible. 750, 10% down, drum roll, APR 8.25. Folks, we're over 8% mortgage rates. That's gonna break housing. And when I break housing, I don't mean price. I mean transactions. The only people, Ty, selling are going to be people that have to sell. Dude, 8% mortgage rates are going to stop builders. If you're a small builder, you're not going to be building homes at 8% mortgage rates because your construction loans are probably 15 or 16%. So we are going to see less existing home sales. We're going to see less new builds. The only people who are building will be the biggest of big who can get debt from the equity market in public companies. And dude, it's 8%. 8% mortgage rates and car loans. It's just going to I think it could bring the economy to its knees and cause a recession in Q1, Q2.
So this could be the thing that actually brings the recession. This could be that last piece that the Fed chairman wants to basically get that breakage that he needs in order to
if we're over 8%, let me just say this. If we're over 8% for the month of October, so the rest of September and all of October, the recession is here. It's coming.
Got it. Okay. Very interesting. Let's keep going. Let's talk about existing home sales. We talked about them last week. They came in on Thursday. What did you see there, and unpack it?
Not as bad as I expected. I expected pretty bad number. I expected us to break below 4 million. The current cycle low was 4.02. We didn't quite break that. We got to 4.04 million. So about 20,000 more than the cycle low. We are going to break 4 million. September's got to break 4 million. We're seeing
Yep.
cancellations left, right, and center. No new listings. It's got to break below 4 million. And with 8% mortgage rates, it has to be there. And again, it's just we got to get through this. And again, the only people that are going to sell, Ty, are going to be the ones that have to. So keep doing the work. Watch days on market. Be careful. Negotiate. Learn creative financing. You know, you and I have talked about possibly you getting a nice home subject to. I think this winter is going to be your time, maybe up through February, right? The winter, kind of that stretch, you know, October to February.
Yeah.
Lots of, because again, if this breaks and we get the recession and then the layoffs and all of that, there's going to be a time where people get stressed out. So yeah, get ready, do the work. This is not a time to shrink. It's a time to do the work. Yeah,
do the work. So it's interesting that, again, the realtors, we talked about this, loan officers, this is the new normal. This kind of low inventory, weird, less transactions, really an unstable mortgage market. Is that pretty accurate, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's changed other than transactions are even going lower. I mean, like if you're not gonna, like if you're a homeowner and you're thinking about selling and you got to now buy with 8% rates, you're not going anywhere. You're going to wait for them to come down.
Yep. Makes 100%. Yep. Makes total sense. So any last thoughts on what's next or opportunity, or just, you know, for the one rental at a time community, what should they be doing? What should they
My
be
message
thinking about?
hasn't changed. The market's going to slow down. The market slowing down is a good thing for most of us. Most of us still need to learn. We need to watch. We need to figure out what average is. In a market that is running hot, it's really hard. You've got 3, 4, 5, 6 months to learn your market. I'm not telling you to buy. I'm telling you to learn. And if you happen to find a great deal because you found that motivated seller that wants to take a haircut that they need out, well, it doesn't matter what the cost of capital is if it's a great deal. But most of you have not done the work. You've not paid the price to learn average yet. So take the opportunity in a slow market to learn average, and you will be prepared for what's coming.
There you go, folks. Do the work, prepare, learn. I think it's such a critical piece. Michael, do you want to share? Are there tickets? How are you on for the February event?
We got a February 17th, 18th event, which Mr. Ty will be speaking at, as will Jason Pritchard, the uneducated economist, the three amigos, plus Millennial Mike, and many, many other surprise guests, plus a concert. VIP is sold out. We sold out 65 VIP tickets. We have general admission left. Only $199 for 12 speakers over 2 full days, plus a party, plus a concert. Not to be missed. President's Day weekend, February 17th, 18th in Vegas. Sign up now. We've got 150 seats left, and I fully expect them to sell out the next couple of weeks. So don't miss it. See us there. Come take some pictures, get some autographs. It'll be fun.
I love it. Folks, thank you for watching. Please sign up if you have any interest. Don't wait. This is not one of those events where we say, oh, it's going to sell out. Michael actually sells his events out. And because he has a community that's hungry, plus his pricing is always high value, underpriced, all of it. So, Michael, thank you for all that you do. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, buddy.